Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs, welcome to another episode of the 94 Feet Podcast. This is your boy, Big Zeke. I'm sitting here with my brothers. Andre in the building.
What's good, bro? How you doing today?
I'm doing all right. I'm also here with my brother, Kesey.
What's good, peoples? 94 Feet.
How's it going? How y'all been doing?
Hey, man, all is well, brother. Dre's in the building. Happy to be with my brothers Zeke and Keese. Like a family reunion whenever we get together, right?
Yeah.
I guess you can call it that.
Well, forget y'all, too. Forget y'all, too.
Anyways, so today, we will be recording this on a Sunday. The All-Star game is in a couple hours. Did you guys get a chance to watch the draft?
I did. I mean, there's no real losers when you're drafting superstars. So
That's very, very true. That's
both teams were winners, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, I wouldn't say both teams are winners. I think LeBron James came out guns a-blazing, and Kevin Durant drafted like he hasn't done this before, and he hasn't. So, you know,
Kevin Durant drafted like he's Kevin Durant. That's what that is.
Who is that supposed to be?
Exactly what I said.
Kevin Durant drafted like he wants to be the guy to play with his teammates. Like, I'm loyal to my team. Like he didn't go play with Golden State after they put him out the finals. That's how he drafted. I'm going to pick Kyrie first because he's my teammate. I can't really be mad at that, though, because Giannis did the same thing. Remember when Middleton made it? He picked Chris Middleton as one of his reserves. I think he actually picked him first.
Well, I think
that doesn't surprise me.
I think it's only natural to pick your teammates. I think that the way, like if Anthony Davis would have played, he'd have probably picked Anthony Davis. But unfortunately, Anthony Davis is not playing because of injury. But I think he would have picked Anthony Davis. But when you look at the roster that LeBron James has, is him, Giannis, Curry, Luka, and then Joker. That's a pretty tough lineup compared to what Kevin Durant has. Was like you said, it was Kyrie, Joel Embiid, Kawhi, and Beasley. And then on top of that, Joel Embiid is not going to play. Ben Simmons is not going to play. Like these injuries, and they're not playing because of Corona, but the other injuries and stuff like that. Like as I hear more and more about this All-Star, and we getting closer to it, even closer as far as like a couple hours away, it goes back to what when they originally announced it. Like, why are we doing this? Like, why are we doing this? We can name All-Stars, but what is the point of playing this game? Like, what is the really point of playing this game? So are you guys looking forward to this?
Man, I almost kind of forgot it was coming up for a minute, to be honest with you.
I almost said, what All-Star game?
Because, I mean, it's so spur of the moment. I mean,
I didn't say about
the NBA dropped the ball on this one, man. I just got to say that.
I don't think they dropped the ball. I think that the other activities piling up on top of the All-Star game is what is really like turning the tide as far as looking forward to it, because the 3-point contest is looking very stacked. But other than that, you know, it's not looking something that would be up to par. I mean, because like as far as the 3-point contest, like I said before, is, you know, you got Jaylen Brown, you got Steph Curry, you got Donovan Mitchell, you got Zach LaVine and Jason Tatum, and then now replacing Devin Booker, you got Mike Conley. So that's the only thing I'm really looking forward to. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, the dunk contest, I do not care at all this year.
Who's in it? Who's in the dunk contest this year?
As much as I would like to give these gentlemen the respect of saying their names correctly, I'm just going to move on.
I'm with you on that one this year. Normally, I know who's in there, but this year, I'm looking like, who?
Well, I think
he did what?
I think that pretty much sums up how we feel about the All-Star game. I'm not excited about it. I may watch it if I remember to turn it on. But, I mean, to your point of it being rushed, it's almost like it's a punishment for the players. The whole point of the All-Star game is to interact with the fans, right? It is fan interaction. There's not a fan that's going to be in the stadium.
Small crowd
of people who work for these different teams. But you talk about the dunk contest. I know Zion played around with being in it. He's not in it anymore. And then players are dropping like flies. it's just like one of those things where the players probably would have preferred a rest versus a actual game. Usually I'm a big All-Star fan, especially in the fourth quarter when they start playing defense. I'm not too excited about it this year because the entire year has seemed sort of rushed. So I don't really care to watch it, but I will because I'm a basketball fan.
I mean, the only thing I think the rule change is what the thing is that looks most intriguing about this. I mean, I think the game format is that the two NBA teams compete till to like the fourth quarter, and then the fourth quarter they play up to like a certain point. They play to like a final target score, and then like the scorers have to add up to like 24 to honor Kobe Bryant, something towards that effect. But I mean, either way, I think I'll check it out. Like you said before, just because I'm a basketball fan. But the whole All-Star weekend is just. It's going to shit. It's going to shit, to be really frank about it. Only people that's benefiting from this is Atlanta club owners. That's the only people that's benefiting from this.
Well, to the NBA, I'll give them a little credit. College is my thing. They are giving a major contribution to some HBCUs, so they're able to raise money for a couple of great causes. So I always think that's good. But to your point, I was reading an article earlier today. They were saying that the All-Star weekend for the players is almost like a bubble. So the players have restrictions. They can only go to certain places and whatever. And so you do all that. And I get it because of safety, but you've just literally you took away all of the fun from the All-Star weekend for the players. It's almost like, okay, this used to be fun. Now it's a force because we have to wear the mask. We got to do this. We can't do that.
But I thought the fun in the All-Star game was playing with your friends.
Yeah,
that's what I thought the fun was for the players.
Yeah,
the other fun part stuff was for the fans.
Agreed.
Which is what's completely taken out the equation now.
I mean, the fans are having fun because every time, you can't sit floor seat at the game. You can get VIP at Magic City. You can get them wings that they keep talking about. So, I'm sure that's going to be real.
I've never had them wings before.
You ain't never had them wings at Magic City? I
never had them wings before.
Man, I heard them wings is bussin'. Okay? Bussin'.
Enough for James Harden to spend $1 million, right? That's the same way?
Let me tell you something. If you're going to spend $1 million anywhere at any strip club, it's going to be Magic City. ATL in the house.
Shout out to my man, Wing Lou.
But again, to your point, Atlanta's even pushing back on people coming to the city.
They can't stop that.
They can't stop it, but they can set up a lot of challenging restrictions. But on that end, I'm happy for the city of Atlanta because businesses have hurt because of the pandemic. If people want to come and get sick and social distance and party, let them. Let people do what they want to do. And if Atlanta eats off of this and there's some financial capital gained out of this, let it happen. But the All-Star game for the NBA, if it wasn't for their donations to these HBCUs, I probably wouldn't even care about it.
Okay. Well, moving on, there has been a couple significant games this week. Not significant as far as I think it's significant as far as the standings go. Because as the year has gone by, these races for first and second and third and fourth spot have been closing in until where it's just like one game apiece and one game here and so on and so forth. One of the games was the Los Angeles Lakers versus the Phoenix Suns. That game ended with L for the Los Angeles Lakers, will put a smile on my face. Not that I'm hating on LeBron, but it did put a little smile on my face. And then
typical nigga.
And then the other game was the Philadelphia 76ers versus the Utah Jazz. This game was significant just because Philadelphia has been on a real tear in the East, and so is Utah. So seeing the top two teams out of each conference is always good to see. Philadelphia ended up winning the game in overtime, 131-123, and the common denominator in these two games was the ejections of Donovan Mitchell out of the Philadelphia game, and then Devin Booker out of the Los Angeles Lakers game. But besides that, you had Joel Embiid putting up real MVP numbers.
He balling.
And to put the cherry on top of his MVP numbers, they got the dub. Now with the Los Angeles game, LeBron did what he do, but the rest of the team seems not to show up, which means the common denominator for the last 4 weeks.
That seems about normal, LeBron gets his, other players don't show up, And guess who's held accountable for it?
LeBron, because he's the leader. That's what you're supposed to do.
LeBron can't shoot the shot for him.
What you mean?
LeBron can't.
Don't pass it.
LeBron James can't trick the layup for him.
Then don't pass it. Then don't pass it.
This is a team game, man.
This is a team game, but you ain't supposed to lose.
You ain't supposed to lose.
I ain't say you.
Ain't nobody trying to lose.
That was a wrong choice of words.
Losses happen.
You know what? We can get into.
Are they still going to be in the playoffs? Yes.
Yeah, 4th, 5th seed.
Who?
I'm saying 4th, 5th seed.
Who?
He just said, "Are they going to make the playoffs?" I said, "Yes." Right now, the Los Angeles Lakers are in 3rd spot, maybe a game away from probably for 4th. So you talking about they gonna make the playoffs? Yeah, but what spot will they be in when they make the playoffs?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Who cares?
Got LeBron,
because we already know what time it is when LeBron gets to the playoffs.
And then once Anthony Davis comes back, everybody's going to forget that the Lakers lost however many games in his absence. So for all of you anti-Laker and LeBron lovers, enjoy it because it won't last long. It won't last.
So
long.
what about Philadelphia? Let's take the spotlight off the King. As much as y'all want to put it on them, let's take it off of them, and let's talk about the Philadelphia 76ers. Let's talk about Joel Embiid putting up 40 and 19.
The Sixers are playing some great basketball.
Okay.
And we all know who got to take credit for that.
Who?
Doc.
Come on, man.
Coaching makes a difference.
If you look at the culture of this team compared to the culture of that last year team, you can see the difference in the coaching and the standards that the coach is expecting from his players. And you can see they have a different level of respect for him because they're playing a lot harder.
I will give you that as far as you're right. The culture does change with the coaching. I think that I'll say that when it comes down to Philadelphia, they do have a different swagger, but the individual play of Joel Embiid is the thing that's really taking them over top.
So who you think is motivating him to play the way he's playing?
I think tired of losing.
Tired of losing and some good coaching. People can say all they want to say about Doc and what happened over there in L.A. But we already know true. It's only one locker room in L.A. that run L.A.
Oh.
The Lakers.
Somehow this got back to the Lakers.
It always comes back to the Lakers.
I'm just saying, Doc Rivers did a good job over there in L.A. You cannot blame him for what they did.
So you saying what you're saying is you can't blame him for what happened with the Clippers, but he can take credit for what is going on in Philadelphia.
Yes.
No, that is the most.
Because listen, it was a lot of issues in their locker room that caused the chemistry of their team to dwindle like that.
That is the most lopsided argument I think you've ever made. So I'll honor you.
Oh man, here we go again.
I'll honor you if we win, but I'll slight you if we lose. That's basically what you just said. Doc Rivers had so many years in Cleveland to get it right. I'm sorry, and with the Clippers to get it right. He had so many years. He brought in Kawhi Leonard, right? Mm-hmm. He had Blake Griffin in his prime. He had Chris Paul in his prime. He had a number of superstars to get the job done. His coaching was a problem, okay? Now, fast forward to these Philly years. They're a younger team. Philly's a way younger team than the Los Angeles Clippers. So younger players tend, that threw me off, but that was hilarious. Younger players tend to listen to their coaches, especially those that already have a championship. Doc is a championship coach. He played in the NBA, right? And so he has some knowledge of basketball. But back to why the Sixers are balling, Joel Embiid, who has snuck up, in my opinion, as an MVP. He's already been in the discussion, but now he's probably top 3 in the discussion based on just the stats he's put up this last period.
Top 3?
Top 3.
He's probably in the top 3 discussion right now.
Top 3.
Because the other two are, well, Durant is hurt, So is he even still in the discussion?
No.
LeBron will always be in the discussion, okay? Whether we like it or not, Joker's in the discussion.
Okay.
And of course, you know my man Steph Curry's in the discussion, whether you like it or not.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't like it.
I know you don't. But the bottom line is Joel Embiid, the 76ers sit at number 1, barely. Barely.
They're still number 1.
They're number 1, but barely. But these are the Sixers that we know can ball in the regular season.
But also they're in the East. So don't forget that. And they're playing East teams way more than they're playing West teams. You got to remember that.
But I don't disagree with that, Keith. But let's also remember that the Sixers play regular season ball.
Or just like the Bucks, they had the league best record in the East.
They did 2 years in a row.
But they couldn't even get it past the second round.
Getting past second round or the conference finals.
First of all, don't disrespect the Bucks. They got
we'll wait till later in the podcast, but the disrespect is coming. And
Most
I'm rocking
definitely.
my Bucks hat today.
Most
but
definitely.
it's coming.
Jesus.
So get ready, Giannis.
Jesus Christ.
It's coming. But to answer your question, 76ers are playing some good basketball, but it's regular season ball. Play like you're playing now in the playoffs, and I'll take you serious.
That's when I'll take Joel Embiid serious. If he putting up them numbers that he putting up right now, when playoff time come, and he ain't flopping, Joel Embiid can get my vote.
You think he's a flopper?
Well, he's king flopper.
He's
More than Marcus Smart?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's why I like that the NBA is cracking down on that. They're starting to give him technical fouls for that flopping now.
Well, because King James is a pretty good flopper, too.
Well.
What?
Anyway.
Come on now. I'm a LeBron guy, but we got to call a flop a flop.
I mean,
he's a flopper, too.
I mean, speaking of flopping and these questionable calls, we've had this season has been full of questionable calls from the refereeing staff. Actually, from the last 2 weeks, we've had questionable calls from about Giannis with the mean mug. He got a technical for that. We've had a technical against I can't think of his name. The guy who plays for the Lakers, the reigning 6 man of the year so far. From last year, he got a call for saying "and one." He got a technical call for that. And then like the Lakers game, Devin Booker was ejected.
Yep.
That right there, it hurt him, but it didn't hurt him because I thought when he got kicked out, that's when the Lakers were going to make their move. They didn't. And then on top of that, going back to the Philadelphia game, Donovan Mitchell is the one who got put out. So is this one of them things where, it's hard to really say what's a bad call, what's a good call, because we're not on the floor. We're being objective here. But what do you guys think about that?
So let's just back it up a little bit. Devin Booker's ejection actually came after he was using profanity, right? And I get it. In the game of basketball, you are very much into your sport. You are very much emotional. Basketball is an emotional sport. I mean, think about us as podcasters and sports folks. We are emotional just talking about a game that we don't play. And so I think with Devin Booker's ejection, I don't agree with it, but the NBA has set a precedence in terms of how you treat officials, right? They are not big fans of verbal abuse.
How far is – but I understand that. I understand that completely. But because if this continues – into the next second half of the season, then we go into the playoffs. If a referee feels a certain way in playoff time, this could cost a game. This could cost a player, the team, not only that game but the series. So this, like you said, this is an emotional game. You know, people are at a high emotionally, and we're you will react how you react. Mm-hmm. So I would just feel like the referees are taking professionalism out of the equation, and it's more off emotions.
You know, I'm a big fan of fining the referees. You know, when the referees get calls wrong, when they give players technical fouls just because you don't like the way he looked at you, like that's whack. If the player is being, if they're being a head case in the game, if they're being disrespectful in the game, that's one thing. But just because he looks at you wrong or he maybe dropped a couple F-bombs in a moment of response. Go ahead.
I was just going to say Devin Booker like speaking of that, like Devin Booker he did a bounce pass to the referee, and it was a hard bounce pass
with profanity though.
But it was a hard bounce pass. But come on, really profanity.
I'm on Devin's side. I'm on Devin's side.
But see, that's where the game has changed. It's the referees who have changed too, and it's all the way across the board. It's not just the NBA. I mean, it's all the way across the basketball spectrum. Even watching my nephew play basketball, the refs have changed from when I was growing up to how they are now. They're so offended by everything that you say. Like there's been hecklers in the crowds since the league has been around. So I don't understand why they take it so personal when a player is getting upset. These games mean a lot to these players, and they have to realize how much these games mean to these players and stop trying to dictate what the outcome of these games are going to be.
You know, I think about Joey Crawford. Do you all remember the referee, Joey Crawford?
Yeah.
He literally made the games about him because he was always so extra in every game. His technical fouls just weren't regular, and you can't see what we're doing. They were extra. They were met with what? Like acting and just overall, like, you're out of here. You know, he could never be regular. So I think the league, to Kesey's point, the referees have made this about them. Oh, you're going to know who I am. You're going to know that Isaiah freaking Moore gave LeBron James a technical foul. You're going to know that Andre Xavier Douglas gave Giannis a technical foul. And so the referees, believe it or not, they like to be the talk of stuff too. Because when is the last time sportscasters, podcasters have talked about the referees' impacts on games? That is a new era thing with these referees who are overly sensitive, overly emotional. But again, at the same time, would we want someone to verbally abuse us?
So I'm glad you went there because if I'm a referee, that's one thing. But I'm also a grown ass man. So you think you're gonna be cussing at me? You got another motherfucking thing coming because I wish you would say some shit to me and I got the ball in my hand. Technical foul. Get the fuck out of my house. Because that's what you're saying. Because as the referee, get the fuck out of my house. Get the fuck out of my house because you're not gonna be sitting here disrespecting me in my house. This is my house.
So what about the referees who make game changing calls? That's where the issues come though.
Yeah, but
like some of them calls they make changes the dynamics of the game.
Just to your point too, I will give you that because there is a time and place for everything. Fourth quarter, overtime, 2 minutes to go. There is a saying that you can't let a ref decide the game. Like you can't let him, and when that kind of goes both ways because you can't make he has to call an obvious call, but he also not gonna call a pity pat call. So he's not gonna call if it's a reach call. But if you push me while I'm in the middle of my jumper, yeah, I gotta call this. I have to call this.
Some of the calls be suspect. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm watching basketball from NBA all the way down to 7th grade right now. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And the way the calls are called in a game are same way for 7th graders all the way to the NBA. Like, let these people play ball. Let the players dictate the outcome of the games.
Yeah, I was just going to say that the only thing about it is that, like, I hear what you're saying, Keezy. It's just that we not down at the Y. So I have to look at the ref to call it because I can't be like, I got to look at you because I can't call it myself. And you know what I'm saying? So I get where you're coming from. It's just it's a real slippery slope when as far as refereeing goes and stuff like that. And I'm sure they're under tremendous pressure just from like the league, from players, and hey man, I catch you outside. Because even talking about high school and college, like these referees got to get escorted out of these places because be like, hey man, I'm gonna see you when you leave here.
Oh, I've been to some of the high school games.
So you're saying you be a ref?
It gets rough for the refs in high school games. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you like this: some of the refs probably gonna need them a bodyguard soon.
Yeah, but you know what? Again, I think it all comes back and it boils down to just we are emotional fans. Players are emotional, right? But the referees also have way too much power. They have way too much power. If you start fining the referees for bad calls, because how many times, and we're an NBA podcast, but how many times has the NBA and the NFL come back and said that was a bad call? The refs make the wrong call. Oh, but the game is over now, right? The playoff seeding is done, right? LeBron could have scored the point, or Devin Booker could have, made the three. But now that the game is over, the NBA has set that standard that the referees have the final say, and that's the NBA. That's been the NBA for years. Do they have too much power? Yes. Should the players control themselves? That's another story for another day.
They might have too much power, but the thing is, they have to be held accountable for when they're wrong. So
but how do you do that?
But how do you do that?
How do you do that?
That's the hardest part. How do you hold them accountable for their calls?
Do you fine a referee and say, you got that call wrong, you're suspended for 2 games like you do players? Or, wait, hear me out. Or do you say, you know what, Zeke, you got that call so wrong that you can no longer ref the playoffs? How do you hold them accountable so they know, you know what, I can do my job and not be overly sensitive?
Well, they make pretty good money, so let's just say, let's say, oh, you made 2 bad calls that game. We're going to find you $250 for each bad call you made, and we're going to donate it to a charity. Let's do something like that.
You know what? I was just going to say 2 things. Number one, we think they make good money, but let's be very clear here. I don't think they're making the kind of money where $200, that's fine. But this is the NBA. This is big boy league. So you can find $1,000 or more. So if I'm a referee,
they fines be more than my salary sometimes.
Exactly. So if I'm a referee and you fine me $1,000, I might see LeBron outside like, really, LeBron? Really? We got to have a conversation now, because now you just took $1,000 out of my mouth. If you find $25,000, that ain't nothing but a drop in the bucket for you. But for me, you find me $1,000, and we also not even considering a human error here. There's always a human error.
But how much do you think referees make a year?
So we haven't researched that one, so I couldn't tell you.
50?
But
50 what?
50,000 a year.
But
referees are averaging around 500,000 a year.
Okay, then
in
never
NBA?
mind.
Yes.
Wow.
Okay, find them $1,000.
They're making about $3,000 a game.
Okay, never mind. Find them $1,000, $2,000. Fuck that shit. Okay, you didn't change the whole thing. You didn't change the whole perspective of this. Find these niggas every single time. Fuck the bullshit. These niggas is making $500,000. Find their ass. 25,000. Make a better call.
25,000. That's a little harsh, man. But I would say 1,000.
But I also think the part that we're missing for all to satisfy the listeners that believe in the whole the NBA is fixed, look at the calls. They're not happening against bum teams. They're happening in big games. They're happening when Philly plays the Lakers. They're happening when Utah plays the Lakers. They're happening when the Clippers are playing the Bucks, right? Or the Clippers in Philly. They're not happening with the 10th seeded team and the 20th seeded team, right? You don't hear nothing about bad calls with losing teams. You're hearing about bad calls with winning teams. So let's just talk about the culture of the NBA and their reffing to take control of games, and that is a culture that the NBA has built that they need to tear down.
I get it.
I totally agree.
Speaking of a tore down franchise, the Golden State Warriors.
Jordan Poole and the Golden State Warriors.
Right, Jordan Poole.
Shout out to my man Jordan Poole, Milwaukee's one of Milwaukee's finest.
But just
yes,
speaking
absolutely.
of them,
shout out to Poole.
Steph Curry, which we'll get to that in a second, but Steph Curry had mentioned that he feels like a lot of teams are taking their past discretions out on the Golden State Warriors for past discretions, and then now they're
do we have a sit down feature on there for Steph? And I'm a Steph fan, but do we have one of those?
Man, sit your dumb ass down.
I mean, that's how I feel about Steph. And y'all know I'm not a profanity speaker, but that's how I feel about Steph. Continue your intro, bro. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What?
That burned your biscuit that bad?
Bruh, that was the dumbest thing ever. Like, fam, you were 73-9. You were 73-9 with 2 of the top 10 players in the league at the time. You should not have anything to say about anything. The way Golden State has dog walked people the past 2 and 3 seasons. Are you freaking kidding me? Bruh, no.
I'm with Andre on this one.
Bruh, come on.
Come on, man.
No.
Come on, man.
No. Hit it one more time for Steph. All the way in the back.
Just for Steph.
Man, sit your dumb ass down.
Come on, bro. Stop.
I'm not saying I agree with Steph. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is when it comes down to, like you said, they were 73-9 at one point, and then for I say about between 2 and 3, maybe 4 years, between 2 and 4 years, Golden State was the team to beat. Like every time you beat them, even if it was one time and they blew you out the next time, it was it was an accomplishment, especially if you of a team that was of a lower caliber. So I understand if these teams are doing this intentionally, but I don't think it's intentional, because even now the Golden State Warriors are a team that you can't let hang around, because Steph can turn you being down by 12 to a tie game in 2 minutes. Because that's who's dangerous. But nobody on this team else is dangerous.
But that's any superstar.
It is any superstar.
Any superstar, you cannot let them hang around.
I think it's more of a respect thing, though.
When it comes to Curry, because he shoots the ball the way he does, it's insane how he can turn a 13-point lead into 2 in less than 30 seconds.
Listen,
it's crazy.
So
man.
is it
even
crazy?
As much as I hated to say that.
So is it crazy then? So is it crazy for him to say?
It is not. It is absolutely asinine for him to say. Right? It is preposterous. What is Stephen A's word? It is blasphemous. What are all the other famous sportscaster words? Here's the bottom line, Steph. Golden State has beat up people for years. I mean, I remember watching poor LeBron when he had the injured Kevin Love and the injured Kyrie. It was like, LeBron could have scored 100 and Steph and KD would have scored 200. Steph Curry can be down 30 points and be up 30 points in the same quarter. So if I'm a coach, because it's Steph Curry, bring all the shots. LeBron plays all 48 minutes. If you're up by 20, LeBron still plays. Beat them down, because with Steph in the game, you always have a chance.
I mean,
what's your take? How do you feel?
I have the exact same take, because the way I will say this: if you're up by 20 with 5 minutes to go, think about it. Just think about it. Just think about sitting LeBron. Just think about it.
If Steph hit 3 3-pointers, they already got 9 points. That league's now cut in half almost.
But he got a whole defense. So that's the caveat.
So what was the content of his speech? Was the content because it's getting out of hand? So bench your players. What was the context?
So the context was LeBron James. The Lakers played Golden State Warriors, and for some oddball reason. This game is still hyped up, man. Lakers versus Golden State Warriors. You remember what they did 2-3 years ago, and I like that was they be hyping up Golden State Warrior games like they still have a chance.
I mean, MVP versus MVP.
This ain't MVP.
We got one MVP. One is candidate.
Steph.
But anyway, so it's one of them things where they hyped the game up, and then Los Angeles did what they supposed to do. I think they blew them out by 30 or something like that. Which if I feel like if you watch basketball, you knew this was coming. But I guess Steph felt the way because these guys were playing until 2 minutes into the fourth, and they were getting blew out the whole game.
But see. The Warriors have done that to so many people, man. It was bound to come back on him.
Payback.
Did you forget about the looks he gave people? Did you forget about the salutes he gave people?
The shimmying.
Did you forget about the shimmy? Did you forget about the turnaround after he shot the 3 and just watched it go in?
Bro, not just shot the 3. Shot it from half court. Not only am I going to beat you, I'm going to beat you terribly. I'm going to shoot the ball from as far as I can and do a dance in front of you. Golden State have bullied the NBA. And this is just payback. I have zero problems with it.
I have no problems with it. I think they should have beat him by 60.
Jesus Christ.
And if it was me, I wouldn't have took LeBron out the game at all. Wow. He lucky LeBron had a break in the game sometimes. Because they would have lost by 60.
All I'm saying is Golden State did it. I mean, going out and getting, and again, you all know how I feel about Steph, but going out and getting KD just changed the game. And it was a whack move. And so now you get what you get.
That was a humble moment for him.
Okay, so is it revenge or is it just we playing ball? I'm just playing ball. It ends how it ends.
You know what? Now that you give me some context and hear what my bro Keith said, I think it is revenge, but I'm okay with it.
Wow.
I'm okay with it.
Did you see how they used to do LeBron?
No, they dogged him.
First of all, why has got to come back how they do
They
LeBron?
because they taunted
LeBron like
listen,
that.
the Warriors taunted the King so bad when they beat him because it was like, dude, we beat the King.
Okay, hold on.
Do you remember what Klay Thompson said?
I do remember all this.
Do you remember what Klay said on the
this.
panel?
Go ahead. What did he say?
When LeBron referred to, I think Cleveland was down like 3-0 or something, 3-1, something like that. And LeBron referred to himself as the best in the world, which he is. Klay Thompson, after they went and beat the Cavs, do y'all remember? He got on the thing and said, yeah, I'm playing with the best player in the world sitting right next to me, Steph Curry.
That's just boosting your teammate up.
No, that's responding to LeBron after he said he was the best player in the world. That was basically saying, Klay was basically saying, not only did we just whoop your ass, right? We're also, I'm sitting next to the best player in the world. That was taunting. That's what I call that. That was taunting.
But that's why LeBron put his foot in his neck this year. And if it was me, I would have put both foot in his neck.
So there's
really don't like Golden State at all.
No, they did the ultimate, like,
they disrespected the King,
disrespectful move when they picked up KD.
Totally agree.
KD is such one of a kind player. He should have never joined them. He should have been the type of player who made people join him. And I'm gonna say this until I'm dead and cold.
And I agree.
KD he going down in the history book is one of the best scorers in NBA history.
Is that okay?
Playing next to the greatest 3-point
He can go. He's just like LeBron James. He can go to any team in the NBA, and they're considered contenders.
Okay, let me just ask this question then. Is that on KD and his personality, or is that on Golden State?
I think it's on both because didn't they kind of recruit him?
They recruited KD
Everybody was trying
after
to recruit
LeBron and Irvin put their foot in their neck that series.
Yeah, everybody was trying to recruit KD.
As soon as
fan.
Irvin hit that step to the side three on Curry knew in his mind, I got to go get KD because there's no way I am going to be able to guard Kyrie Irving in a series again.
In fact, to your point, if you look at some of the behind-the-scenes tapes 2 years ago, they showed Kyrie and KD on separate teams at the All-Star game talking about linking up to join together.
I think that was more about LeBron than it was about Steph Curry.
Yeah, another story for another day.
Another story for another day. But speaking of
Curry hate. Sheesh.
Speaking of a dominant team going from I don't want to say a bad team, but a semi-par team. Who is your most surprising team this year, and also who is your most disappointing team this year? Because we're at that halfway point, and we're trying. It's time to figure these teams out and see who's up there, who's the upper echelon, who's the bottom, who's going to make the playoffs, who's barely going to make it. This year they're doing a tournament to get that last spot in the playoffs.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's one of those things where like who is and plus a lot of trades are just talking about that. That's going to end on the 25th of March. So it's that time of the year where we can talk about who is like I said before, who's up there and who's not. So who's your most surprising team, most disappointing team? And kick it to you first, Dre.
So my most surprising team is, I'm not going to lie, it's the Utah Jazz.
Is your who?
It's the Utah Jazz.
For your most surprising?
They're my most surprising team. I did not expect for us to start the All-Star break. I did not expect for us to start the All-Star break with the Utah Jazz as the number one seed. And I still don't take them serious in the playoffs, but
you really don't.
I really wasn't surprised by the way they played. You know what I mean?
Really?
They've been playing together for a while. You think about that core.
Are you
that
surprised
core.
by the spot though?
I'm not.
Bruh,
Really?
they are
I'm
number
not.
one. Like
Conley, automatically, I already knew Conley was a good player. With Donovan Mitchell, a rising star.
a superstar in the making.
You got Rudy, Defensive Player of the Year.
Overpaid.
Cry baby.
COVID spreader.
And I like Joe. And I like Clarkson. They got a solid core that they can play with. Okay. And that's what's getting them wins. They have been playing together, and it's time for that gelling to click. It was time.
So who's your most we'll go around the room. Who's your most surprising team, Keezy?
The most surprising team to me right now, I'm going to have to say the Knicks.
Woo! That's a good one. That's a good one, bro.
I'm very surprised by the roster that they have.
They're in 5th place right now.
Nobody expected the Knicks to be in 5th place this year.
I didn't expect them to.
Nobody even expected them to be in the top 10.
I didn't expect them to win 15 games.
Going back to me, that's my team too. Because
really,
yeah, just because like Kesey said, for Julius Randle to go from because he was on the to be a journeyman. That's what his. Like that's where we were looking at Julius after he went from LA because he played with Kobe and this was his rookie year, and then I wasn't high on him when he came into the league, but he's developing into this all around guy, this veteran. And then they picked up Derrick Rose. They got I can't think of the name right now. Tom Thibodeau. Tom
Thibodeau,
yeah, that guy. Mm-hmm. So they picked up Derrick Rose, and like all the moves he's making, he's got New York, and plus Julius Randle's an all-star for the first time. So he's got all these pieces. They were in like a rebuilding stage,
and that's the thing. They're young,
but not too old.
But they're not too old.
Not too young. Yeah,
and they're rising. They're rising players. Robinson. Hats off to him. He's doing pretty good this year. Way better than I expected him to do.
The guy from last year who came from Duke, who got drafted, I can't think of his name.
R.J. Barrett.
He's having a better year.
He's having a good year. So
let's not call it good. Let's call it better. He's still a little.
Well,
he's still a little underperforming.
It's a learning process. Everybody can't adjust to that league speed. The league speed goes to another level.
But he's not causing them losses. I'll say that. He's not causing them losses.
He's not harming them.
And then for them to, like I said before, they were in a rebuilding stage. Like they had like one of the higher draft picks. The guy that the rookie's actually going to be in the dunk contest. I don't know his name. To be honest with you, it doesn't matter. But the point is that he, like the New York Knicks has been a team that's really been surprising to not, for me, Keys, and a lot of other people, like, man, the New York Knicks is something to talk about. And they can be dangerous in the playoffs if they keep this up.
The way they're playing.
Well, I was actually going to ask you both that. Do you trust them to have a playoff run? Now, we're at the midpoint, right? We're at the midpoint. They're in the 5th seed.
Okay.
There's probably 40 games left or less, a few less. Do you trust them to stay in the 5th seed and make a run for the playoffs?
I think they'll make the playoffs. I don't think they'll stay in that 5 seed just off the strength of how the league is about runs. And you're going to have ups and you're going to have downs. And in the 5 seed, they can either go up or they can go down. And I can see them going down to maybe a couple spots, but I see them making the playoffs this year.
I see them making the playoffs, and I see them finishing the lowest 6 seed. And I also, you know what?
Wow.
I see if they make – I'll say this. If they make the 6th seed, oh, man, this hurts my feelings, but I'm going to say it anyway. I see them making the 6th seed. I see Milwaukee playing the 3rd seed. I see them beating Milwaukee or getting close. So with that being said, I see them making the league notice of them in the playoffs. So I see the league putting them on notice, just like when the Phoenix Suns put the league on notice in the bubble last year. I think this year it's going to be the New York Knicks that put the NBA on notice, like, hey, we here to stay.
I don't see them beating anybody in the playoffs. To be honest with you, man, I'm just surprised. I'm just surprised that they're even in the top 5.
I don't see them making it.
You don't see them making it?
I don't. Go ahead.
I most definitely do not see them beating the Bucks.
So keep in mind, this is who is below the Knicks right now: the Miami Heat, the Charlotte Hornets, the Raptors, the Bulls, the Wizards. Those are probably the 5 that I would say can make a run for the playoffs.
What about the Hawks?
The Hawks are number 11. You know,
but you know they're it's only like a 3 or 4 game difference in the 12 all the way to the 6th spot.
I mean, I get it, but I just think, once again, I think we are again being overly confident in a team that surprised us. Like the Knicks, fam. Y'all picked the Knicks.
Not only did I pick the Knicks, and here's the caveat for the Knicks.
I like it though.
Here's the caveat for the Knicks, and that's what's going to keep them in this 5th, 6th seed. They're healthy and they stay healthy.
They're
all
big
those
too.
teams,
They're big too.
All those teams you just talked about that's under them, either they're too young or they've had injuries, and that's what put them in their positions. Unfortunately, in Miami, there was a fluke last year. Wow. They are really showing who they are this year.
I don't think that's fair.
Jimmy Butler. No. Jimmy Butler and Duncan Robertson and Tyler Hero. Yeah. Shout out to Milwaukee. These guys had a nice little run in the bubble, but their time is coming past, and it's time to move on.
But like you said, that break in between before the bubble saved Miami.
Saved them.
It did.
It saved them. And it helped them get to where they were in the bubble, but that also showed why they didn't beat the Lakers when they technically should have beat the Lakers with the squad that they had.
Who? Miami?
Yes.
Miami had nothing coming as soon as they stepped on the court.
No.
I mean, I'm not saying that they should have, but I'm saying like what people expected.
I didn't expect them.
No, I thought a sweep.
I
thought a sweep.
I thought they were lucky to beat the Bucks.
I didn't think they were lucky to beat the Bucks, but I knew that they should have probably got swept by the Lakers.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, Miami won. Did they win 1 or 2? I don't remember what it was.
2.
Whatever it was.
They won 2.
It was fluky. It was fluky.
It was Jimmy Butler.
It was fluky.
But Jimmy Butler had a lot to say. But boy, when it came to playing against the King,
oh man, he got shut down.
You should have seen his face.
He got shut down.
Did you see his face after he got his shot blocked? He like, woo. Somebody pass me a beer.
I mean, the thing about
this nigga's tired.
but Jimmy Butler,
you know how when you get how the old man get done cutting the grass and he be sitting there like, whoo, somebody pass me a beer. I'm tired of cutting this grass. That's how Jimmy was like, whoo, tired. Somebody give me a 40 ounce or something.
Well, that's going to happen when you play he had to play every single minute, but that's another story for another day. But so back to you, Dre. What is your most disappointing team this year?
Ooh, easy for me, the Milwaukee Bucks. And I'm going to say the Milwaukee Bucks at the 3 seed. Yes, I know. Listen,
I was kind of with you for a second, then I had to
you know
back.
what? You know what? It's interesting to. Let me take that back. Can I take that back? I'm going to take that back.
You said it.
I said it, but I'm going to recant my statement like everybody else does and act like I never said it. As a Milwaukee Bucks fan, I feel like I'm being a little too hard on them. So I'm going to take them off the table for now because they are still the 3rd seed. So I'm going to take them off. But
here's the thing. No, the reason I don't want you to take that back because I want you to stand on what you said because you have valid reasons.
I do, but I don't think that they have disappointed me as much as this next team has disappointed me.
Okay, go ahead. Continue then.
The Los Angeles Clippers.
Ooh.
I am very disappointed in the Los Angeles Clippers. Listen.
They're still a 4 seed.
They're a 4th seed, but a 4th seed with the star power of a 1 seed. Okay? Everybody's always talking. Thank you. I appreciate that. Everybody's always talking about how Kawhi Leonard is the 2nd or 3rd best player in the NBA, how the Claw can lock up LeBron James, how the Claw will bring a championship to the Los Angeles area, and how now Staples Center is the house that Kawhi built. I guess I missed all that because it's not happening. And they got rid of Doc Rivers, as we mentioned earlier, because Doc couldn't deliver them to a championship. Doc had years. Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers are overrated. They're going to bust that team up. And if you put Kawhi against LeBron and AD, I'm taking LeBron and AD every time, twice on Sunday. So the Clippers are the biggest disappointment to me, even as a 4th seed, because they should be a 1 seed.
But that just goes to show, the Clippers' history shows that they have been overrated for quite some time, man. Those rosters that you keep looking at that the Clippers had were all overrated rosters.
I will give you that. The Clippers have had some teams where championship.
Because even when they had Blake
championship,
they should have won last year.
Even when they had Blake Jordan and CP.
Yeah.
Everybody thought they were supposed to win.
I did.
Why?
I did.
What does Blake do besides dunk?
Get up off of him, man. Blake was a walking double-double. I think you tripped.
A 20 and 15 double-double.
But the game was changing then. Big men were stepping out shooting threes. He just started shooting threes over the last 3 years.
The Clippers were putting everybody on posters.
No,
that's about it. he put a few niggas on the poster with an L.
With a loss, with a losing season. But if you think about their rosters, though, bro, they were injured. CP, I don't know the last time bro played a full season.
I'm
not saying every
playoffs.
I mean,
he played with Blake Griffin, he got hurt first round of the playoffs.
I'll say this: the thing about the Clippers is, like when you look at them on paper throughout the years, you're right. They've had some teams where this is a championship team, this is a championship team, and then you're like, man, what are they missing? What are they missing? I think that, to be really honest with you, I've always looked at the Clippers like, y'all got a good bunch of niggas. A bunch of, and when I say that, I mean like a bunch of players who are so good on one-on-one. Jordan Crawford, CP, Blake Griffin, like these guys are good for highlights. They're good for one-on-one play. But when it comes to like team chemistry, even if you have the best record throughout the season, and then you come down to, because I feel like while they were developing their team, other teams were developing their team, because that's what happened. That was the creation of the Golden State Warriors. Like when the Golden State Warriors were starting to come up, that's who the team they had to overcome was the Los Angeles Clippers. Well, that's when, like, man, Steph started to develop into who he is today. Klay Thompson started to develop into who he is today. We was looking at Draymond Green. Like, this team was like, oh, man. And then eventually they had to just break that team up because, like, okay, we're just getting to the point of we're getting to the Warriors and then that's it. We're getting to Houston and then that's it, and so on and so forth. So I get where you're coming from as far as the most disappointing team to as far as, you know, with their history.
The Clippers were built for highlights. They were not built to beat a good team. If you look at that roster, they were not built to beat anybody.
That's knowledge right there, fam. That's knowledge for real. That's
coming in high. I mean, y'all. I hope if they beat the Lakers, y'all have a lot of apologizing to do.
I won't never apologize. I would stand up and say they deserve to win if it happens.
To keep it rolling, my most disappointing team of the year, I am going to have to say the Dallas Mavericks.
Don't whisper. Say it out loud.
The Dallas Mavericks.
Really?
That surprises me.
And you know why?
Why?
Because everybody puts so much hype in how good Luka is.
And he is still an MVP
And they keep putting him in this MVP candidate. Mm-hmm. But MVPs make their teams rise to another level. Even when LeBron won his MVPs, or even when Giannis won his MVPs, their teams were winning still.
Valid.
So my thing is, they can't be the 8th seed, and you got Luka.
I'm giving you a little
Luka, because what I'm starting to notice is Luka is a stat sheet stuffer, and that's it.
I'm gonna give you a little pushback on that, just because Dallas is the team. Dallas is a team who has a superstar, and then you have an ailing superstar, a guy who has the potential to be.
He's talking about Porzingis, guys.
I am talking about Porzingis. You have a guy who, because it's supposed to be the 1-2 punch. Yeah. They can because if you 7 foot and you can shoot the three, how he can shoot the three, you're supposed to be like they say if Giannis had a jump shot, he would be better than LeBron. Like, he would be the best thing walking. Porzingis falls in that same category. You're 7'3", you can shoot the three like that, and you can pretty much dunk over anybody. He's a little soft, I admit that. But at the end of the day, he was a walking double-double. He was supposed to be like 20 and 15. He hasn't been good since he left the New York Knicks, since he had the problem with the knees. So that's my only pushback, because when it comes down to Luka himself, if you put Luka on a different team, Luka will get you the dub because the wins that the Dallas Mavericks do have is most of those is because Luka has had the ball in his hands with 3 seconds to go. Give me the ball, bucket, game over. Don't worry about it. Let's move on to the next one. So it's just one of them things where, like, I hear what you're saying, and I do agree with that because they're preseason top 5 team. Top 5 team, Luka, he's going to be MVP. He's the one to take over the league, so on and so forth. So I get that, but I just have to give him a little pushback because, like y'all always like to say, it's a team game. You can't just put it on one player. As far as my most disappointing team this year, it's the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks had I think last year they were like, man, this team is like a couple veterans away from them winning, making the playoffs and so on and so forth. It's one of those things where you got trade. They have a perfect combination, and then they're in the East. The East is wide open. It's always wide open ever since LeBron left ever since he left from Cleveland to Los Angeles. The East has been wide open. So when you got Trae Young, you got the veterans of a playoff Rondo, and you got these young guys and a mixture of veterans. I would expect y'all not necessarily be the top 5 team, but maybe making some noise where y'all playoff bound, maybe 6, 7.
But see, that's where everybody went wrong with Atlanta. They thought by them picking up Rondo and what's the other guy name? The shooter guy that the Bucks were supposed to pick up.
Bogdanovich or something like that?
Something like that. I think it's Bogdanovich. It doesn't matter. He's
whatever
white.
His name is.
Anyways, he's foreign.
They thought they were going to be their saviors.
Yeah.
But clearly people didn't realize how good LeBron made Rondo really look. Or I shouldn't say made him look, but how they really complemented each other.
I think when they picked up Rondo, they expected him to do the same thing he did in L.A. Not necessarily, and also mold Trae Young to be a better point guard. And by the way, Trae Young didn't even make the game. I'm sorry, he didn't make the All-Star team. So,
but we agreed that was a snub.
It was a snub. I just feel like Atlanta was a team that was, something to like kind of that was very like disappointing to me. It's kind of sad to see them in the position that they're in. They just fired their coach and they probably won't make the playoffs
abruptly too.
Yeah, and it's one of the things where it's just kind of like sad and disappointing. I mean, we'll come back to this and we'll see how these teams end up doing, but going from teams to individual awards. What do you guys think about this? Because we've mentioned this a couple times. What do you guys think about the MVP race, Rookie of the Year, a defensive player, and maybe the 6th man and Coach of the Year? Who are you guys putting in these individual awards?
Okay, so start with the first one, and we just do a round robin, or you want us to all go through?
We'll just go around. We'll start with MVP, and then we'll go around.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'll start with Joel Embiid. I think he put up the 40 and 19. He's been consecutive all year. There is no we mentioned a couple times this episode alone that this person's in a race. This person's in a race. I think Joel Embiid is the guy who's been consecutively wielding his team to W's, and that's what really matters. Plus, they're the number 1 team in the league right now. Mm-hmm. Well, it's number 2 in the league, but number 1 in the East.
Yeah.
Y'all already know who I'm going with. I don't even need to say it.
The Kane.
LeBron James, man. LeBron James.
So you going with LeBron James, even though he ain't getting the dub for the teams. He ain't getting the dubs.
What?
But my thing
have they not been on a losing streak?
They lost a couple games.
They lost some games, but that's normal. Okay, do this then.
All right.
You got Joel Embiid over there as your candidate, right?
Yep.
Take Ben Simmons out. Mm-hmm. And take Tobias away.
That's 2 players.
But see, the Lakers you forgot the Lakers didn't have Schroeder or AD for like 8 games. Did you forget that? They lost majority of those games while both of them were out. So take away two of their top caliber players and see where Philly will be right now.
First of all, injuries and unfortunately COVID is a part of the season. So when you talk about take those two out and where would they be, and so that's hypothetical. We're talking about what has been happening this year so far.
I'm going with LeBron James.
That's what you're going with. Every single year. Go ahead. Who you got?
I'm going with Joel. I'm going with Embiid. I mean,
Embiid.
His numbers are ridiculous. Like, I mean, he is leading something crazy right now.
He's supposed to do that.
Well, so is LeBron.
Okay, and that's what I'm saying.
Oh, my God.
He's supposed to get the dub. That's what he's talking about.
Listen.
Well, later for your individual stats, get the dub. Who's getting the dub?
Joel, under Doc Rivers' tutelage, is playing like the big man he's supposed to be. So shout out to Doc for getting Joel in order. But now, at the midpoint in the NBA, Joel would be my pick now.
But you keep talking about wins, right? Mm-hmm. The Lakers are 24-13.
What was Philadelphia?
24-12. They're only one game. And actually, it's considered a half a game because it's in the loss column.
All that to just.
So that's my. So what I'm saying is,
LeBron's not even ranked 2 right now in the ladder race. He's not even number 2 right now.
So what makes Embiid's stats better than LeBron? Look at LeBron's stats and who got the better stats of it all year.
Because here's a perfect example.
Joel.
Here's a perfect example because
he had 140-point game in his whole career. Everybody want to ride his ball.
Joel right now. Since we talking about MVP,
so
go ahead.
I was just gonna say that the difference between the two is this. The difference between the two is this. When you talk about so the Lakers play the Phoenix Suns, a team that is like number 2 in the league in the Western Conference, maybe number 3. They lost to them. They lost to Brooklyn. They've lost to some other teams. The contending teams, the teams that they should be beating, where we have to make a statement, they're losing to these teams. Philadelphia is not losing to these teams. That game with Utah was a big game. Why? Because it was a statement game. Those statement games, even though they're season games, are important games. So when you talk about LeBron and what he's done and stuff like that, I get that he's the GOAT. But when it comes down to these games and you making these statements, that's what it's about. That's why LeBron had 38 against or 28 or whatever against Phoenix Suns, because he's like, hey, I'm trying to win this game because I know these are important games to let you know what's going on. We here to play. We here to ball. Kyrie know that. That's why he played against the Lakers like he did.
He sure did. Hurting everything.
Exactly.
Okay.
But moving forward, Rookie of the Year. Let me start this off real quick.
Easy.
This is easy. And this, I ain't gonna say it hurts my heart. I'm surprised. LaMelo Ball is balling. I think we all three can agree on he's probably gonna be Rookie of the Year because he went from on the bench to starting to damn near running the team by himself.
Winning games.
Gordon Hayward, who? So it's one of those things. It's one of those things where like I like I said, he's internet famous, and you know he's one of those guys who's like, man, how is his game going to transfer to the NBA? Just with all three of the Ball brothers, the way they shot the ball, the way they carried themselves, like how is this going to transfer over to the NBA? When it came down to his older brother, it didn't pan out very well, but unfortunately, the youngest one is just balling out of control. Like there's not much else to say about it. Like he's like, if you ever play my player on NBA 2K, that's what he's doing right now. Like that's what he's doing right now. He's going from the bench to starting, barely getting drafted or the number 1 draft pick or whatever, and not going the traditional way about it. It's just like to be really honest, it's really amazing to watch.
I agree. LaMelo is the top runner for me too. And that's only because I was on Weissman for a minute first.
I was too.
But I seen he has kind of hitting that rookie wall.
Yeah.
And he's the one doing it a little bit. So now here we are at LaMelo taking over.
Yeah, that's very true.
I agree with you both. Nothing more needs to be said. Ball.
Yeah. So, 6th man of the year. This one, it's a lock-in, but it's not a lock-in.
My lock-in is Clarkson.
I can't vote yet because there are too many good ones. I don't have a definite right now.
You don't have a definite right now.
I don't, man.
Give me 3.
I like Clarkson. I'm not going to give you 3. I like Clarkson. I do. I think he is playing some serious ball. He is key to his team. But I think the 6th man of the year can go back and forth. And so I'm not 100% sold on that yet. Mm-hmm. So I can't wait to the end of the year that we do these awards. But I'll give Clarkson.
I think Clarkson has solidified his role now in the league. It's that 6-man role. He is not,
especially with Utah,
the starter, and he fits in with them. They need somebody to come in and don't care about, I'm gonna shoot 10 times, and if I miss 7 of them, okay. But if I hit 9 of them, here we go. I'm rolling tonight.
Yeah, like he should.
That
like he
40-point game he just had.
Yeah, like he should be starting, but he is coming off the bench, and when he's coming off the bench, he's actually providing the energy, and he is putting in the effort to where you don't have to worry about him costing you the game.
Okay. Another one to watch for me would be Gordon Dragic from Miami Heat. I think he's a watch. He's someone that's in the conversation.
He is.
But I don't know that he beats out Clarkson.
It's hard to put him in that conversation just because we're used to him doing that, and it's not necessarily an improvement because Dragic could start. He should start sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Dragic is the most traveling guard I've ever seen in my life. He only gets what he gets because they let him travel.
Well, just like James
if
Harden
you watch that, if I watched that series, that Lakers and Miami series over, he had got away with so many travels in that series. That's the only reason they stayed in there.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. That's very true. So we're going to wrap this up with the Coach of the Year. I'm going to give it to Tom Thibodeau.
I'm going to give it to Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers has Philly playing like champions. If Doc Rivers can take them to the number 1 spot, Doc Rivers has this sold up. If he can take them to the championship, he can win Coach of the Year. I mean, we're talking about a lot of most improved players under coaches. We're talking a lot about that. We're talking a lot about how Philly has improved, right, through the years. And so Doc Rivers has improved he has approved Philly as a coach. So he's a Coach of the Year candidate. He's the Coach of the Year candidate, in my opinion, because Philly has played some great basketball, especially if they can finish number 1. So Doc Rivers.
Really? I was going with Tom Thibodeau just because the job we just talked about the New York Knicks doing and how he's got them going from a laughingstock to one of the teams that the NBA has been put on notice. I think that you have to give him consideration as far as giving him this platform. Well, I mean, necessarily giving him this platform, but giving him his just due by him putting all together this young, old kind of team. Not necessarily old, I would say, but veterans with the younger team and kind of putting them together and doing something that's really that New York didn't expect to see for another 10 years.
Yeah. I was kind of riding with Doc at first, but then I got to thinking about New York again, and I just got to give it to Tom. I mean, nobody expected that team to even be talked about in the top 10.
Yeah.
At all.
I was expecting to have lottery picks for the next 2-3 years.
But have we ever seen 5th seed coaches get Coach of the Year?
No.
I don't want to – I want to say no.
Exactly.
But here's the difference, though. Here's the difference. And I said this before.
If they had a most improved coach, he probably would win. That, but
the only I mean, usually I would agree with you, but because I'll say this. If you're coached by LeBron James, you should never get Coach of the Year. You should barely get a ring. So you shouldn't even be mentioned. You should be in the picture. When they come to team pictures, you should be the guy in the background with your arm around LeBron like thumbs up. Way to go, guys.
So should Steve Kerr be doing that same thing, standing behind KD saying, thank you, man?
Yeah, he should.
Especially.
Thank you for everything you are about to do for me this year.
He's no Phil Jackson, that's for sure.
No, he's no Phil Jackson at all.
He's no triangle offense coach, that's for sure.
Because they most definitely ain't running no plays over there.
No, he's definitely
in fact,
not at all.
I remember seeing Iggy running the plays in the huddle. And Kurt was just sitting over there on the bench. So,
I mean,
it's all good.
Dang, just come down like that?
Hey, why not?
Yeah, I guess. Well, this has been another episode of the 94 Feet Podcast. I'm your boy, Big Zeke. I'm here with
Dre.
And I'm also here with
Keys, y'all. 94 feet, my peoples.
Yeah. Like us, subscribe. Check us out on Spreakers, Apple Music or Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Like, share, comment. Tell us what you think. We probably will disagree with you anyway. 94 feet, baby.